Commander Ben Torres stood at the viewport of his ship, watching the rescue shuttle dock with the main vessel. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the reinforced glass, but his mind focused on the mission briefing he had received just hours ago. 2 alien princesses from the Zephyrian Empire needed protection. The Galactic Council had specifically requested him for this assignment. "Commander, the passengers are ready for transfer," came the voice of Lieutenant Sarah Kim through his communicator. Ben straightened his uniform and walked toward the docking bay. His crew had cleared the area except for essential personnel. The Galactic Council had been very clear about security protocols for this operation. The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss. 2 figures emerged, flanked by council guards. Ben had studied the files, but seeing the Zephyrian princesses in person was different. Princess Vera, the older sister, walked with rigid posture despite the restraints on her wrists. Her purple skin held intricate silver markings that indicated royal blood. Princess Naya, younger by 3 standard years, kept her head high but her large golden eyes showed exhaustion. Both sisters wore torn ceremonial robes that had once been magnificent. Their long dark hair was tangled, and small cuts marked their arms. The slavers had not treated them well during their captivity. "Commander Torres," said Council Representative Mitchell, a thin man with graying hair. "These are the Zephyrian princesses we discussed. They will remain under your protection until we can arrange safe passage to neutral territory." Ben stepped forward and looked directly at the sisters. "Princess Vera, Princess Naya, I am Commander Ben Torres. You are welcome aboard my ship." Vera's eyes flashed with anger. "Welcome? We are prisoners being passed from one captor to another." "Actually, you are guests," Ben replied calmly. He turned to the guards. "Remove their restraints immediately." Representative Mitchell frowned. "Commander, the Council recommended keeping security measures in place." "The Council recommended protection, not imprisonment," Ben said firmly. "These are members of royal family who have suffered enough. They will not be treated as criminals on my ship." The guards hesitated but followed Ben's order. As the restraints fell away, both sisters rubbed their wrists. Princess Naya spoke for the first time, her voice soft but clear. "You would trust us to move freely on your vessel?" "Trust must start somewhere," Ben answered. "Let me show you to your quarters. You can rest and we will discuss your situation properly." As they walked through the corridors, crew members stopped their work to watch. Most had never seen Zephyrians before. The sisters' skin color and height made them stand out dramatically among the humans. Princess Vera walked like a warrior despite her ordeal. Princess Naya observed everything with keen intelligence. Ben led them to the guest quarters he had prepared. The rooms were spacious and comfortable, with separate sleeping areas and a shared common space. Fresh clothing had been laid out, along with food that matched Zephyrian dietary requirements. "These quarters are yours for as long as needed," Ben said. "The doors are not locked. You may explore the ship freely, though some areas require escort for safety reasons." Vera studied him with suspicion. "What do you want from us in return?" "Nothing," Ben replied simply. "My job is to keep you safe until you can return home." "Home," Naya said quietly. "We may not have a home to return to." Ben sensed there was more to their story than the official reports indicated. "Would you like to explain what you mean?" The sisters exchanged glances. Vera seemed to reach a decision. "Sit down, Commander. The truth is more complex than your Galactic Council knows." Ben took a seat across from them. Vera began speaking, her voice steady but filled with pain. 3 months ago, my father the Emperor sent Naya and me on a diplomatic mission to the outer colonies. It was meant to be a routine goodwill tour. Our uncle, Prince Drac, was supposed to accompany us as senior advisor. But he did not come, Naya added. He claimed urgent business required him to remain on the homeworld. Vera continued the story. 2 weeks into our journey, our escort ships were attacked by slavers. Professional soldiers with advanced weapons and detailed knowledge of our route and security protocols. Ben leaned forward. You believe the attack was planned? We know it was, Vera said firmly. The slavers knew which ship we traveled on. They knew the location of our quarters. They even knew which guards would be on duty at specific times. Only someone with access to Imperial security information could have provided such details, Naya explained. Someone close to the royal family. The implications became clear to Ben. Your uncle. Prince Drac has always believed he should rule instead of our father, Vera said. With us gone, his claim to succession becomes much stronger. The slavers were never meant to sell us, Naya added quietly. We heard them talking. We were supposed to disappear permanently. The Galactic Council rescue operation prevented our murder. Ben felt anger rising in his chest. The political maneuvering disgusted him, but the cold calculation of family betrayal made it worse. What will happen if you return to Zephyrian space now? Uncle Drac will ensure we do not live long enough to expose his crimes, Vera answered. He has had months to consolidate power and eliminate anyone loyal to our father. The council plans to negotiate for your safe return, Ben said. They believe diplomatic pressure will work. Both sisters laughed bitterly. The council does not understand Zephyrian politics, Vera explained. Uncle Drac will agree to anything they propose, then kill us the moment we enter Zephyrian territory. Ben stood and walked to the viewport. Outside, the stars continued their eternal dance, indifferent to the political schemes of any species. He thought about his orders from the council and weighed them against what he had just learned. There might be another option, he said slowly. What do you mean? Naya asked. Ben turned back to face them. What if you did not just return home, but returned with proof of your uncle's betrayal? Vera shook her head. Impossible. He will have destroyed any evidence by now. Maybe not all evidence, Ben said. The slavers who captured you are still operating. If we could capture them and make them testify about who hired them. The council would never approve such a mission, Vera pointed out. It would require entering dangerous space and confronting criminal organizations. The council does not need to approve it, Ben replied. I could volunteer my ship and crew for an independent operation. Both sisters stared at him in shock. Naya spoke first. You would risk your career and your crew for us. We are strangers from another species. You are innocent people who deserve justice, Ben answered. That is enough reason for me. Vera studied his face intently. Why? Your people owe us nothing. We have never even been allies. Ben thought about how to explain human nature to beings from such a different culture. Humans have a saying, evil succeeds when good people do nothing. Your uncle committed crimes against his own family. If we allow him to profit from those crimes, we become part of the injustice. But the risk, Naya said. Your superiors will be angry. You could lose everything. Maybe, Ben admitted. But I would rather face that risk than spend the rest of my life knowing I could have helped and chose not to. Princess Vera stood and walked to the viewport. For several minutes, she stared out at the stars in silence. When she turned back to Ben, her expression had changed completely. In all our diplomatic meetings with other species, we have been told that humans are unpredictable and dangerous. Now I begin to understand why. We are dangerous to those who prey on the innocent, Ben said simply. And unpredictable to those who expect everyone to act only in their own interest, Vera added. Commander Torres, if you are truly willing to help us reclaim our rightful place, then we accept your offer. Naya nodded agreement. But we must warn you. This mission will be extremely dangerous. Uncle Drac has many allies and resources. Then we will need to be smarter than he is, Ben replied. And we will need to move quickly before he realizes you are still alive. Ben activated his communicator. Lieutenant Kim, please report to guest quarters immediately. Bring Chief Parker and Navigator Davis with you. Yes sir, came the quick response. We are really going to do this, Naya said, wonder in her voice. We are, Ben confirmed. But first, you both need food and rest. Tomorrow we begin planning an operation that will either restore justice to your empire or get us all killed trying. Vera smiled for the first time since boarding the ship. Commander, I think we are going to get along very well. As Ben left the sisters to settle into their quarters, he wondered what he had just committed himself and his crew to undertake. The smart choice would be to follow orders and deliver the princesses to neutral territory as planned. But looking into their eyes, seeing the pain of betrayal and the hope for justice, he knew he could not take the easy path. His communicator buzzed with an incoming message from the Galactic Council. Representative Mitchell was requesting a status update. Ben stared at the device for a moment, then turned it off without responding. The real mission was just beginning. 3 days later, Ben stood in the ship's training room watching Princess Vera demonstrate Zephyrian combat techniques to his crew. Her movements were fluid and deadly, each strike precise enough to disable an opponent without permanent harm. The Zephyrian fighting style emphasized speed and efficiency over brute force. The key is to use your opponent's strength against them, Vera explained as she showed Chief Parker how to redirect an attacker's momentum. Zephyrians are naturally stronger than humans, so direct confrontation usually favors us. Lieutenant Kim attempted the move Vera had demonstrated. Her first try was clumsy, but her second attempt showed promise. It feels completely different from human martial arts, Kim observed. Because it is designed for different body types and mindsets, Princess Naya said from where she worked with Navigator Davis on tactical planning. Our people have always believed that the smartest warrior wins, not necessarily the strongest. Ben nodded approvingly. For the past 3 days, his crew had been learning everything they could about Zephyrian culture, technology, and military tactics. In return, they had been teaching the princesses human strategic thinking and unconventional warfare techniques. Commander, Davis called out, spreading a holographic map across the planning table. I think we have found our target. The map showed a remote space station orbiting a dead planet in neutral territory. Red markers indicated heavy security presence and restricted access zones. This is Station Blackwater, Naya explained. It serves as a meeting point for criminal organizations throughout this sector. If the slavers who captured us are still operating, they would likely use this facility. Vera joined them at the table. Our intelligence suggests that Uncle Drax's intermediary, a broker named Rex Mordain, frequently conducts business here. Mordain coordinates between criminal groups and their clients, Ben said, studying the station layout. If we can capture him and his records, we should have proof of your uncle's involvement. Chief Parker looked concerned. Sir, that station has over 200 security personnel. Our ship only carries a crew of 30. Which is exactly why we are not going to fight our way in, Ben replied with a slight smile. We are going to think our way in instead. He activated a new display showing shipping schedules and personnel rotations. Every Tuesday, the station receives supply deliveries from civilian contractors. Security is lighter during these periods because they need to process legitimate cargo. You want to smuggle us inside a supply ship, Vera said, understanding immediately. Not smuggle, Ben corrected. Replace. We intercept one of the supply vessels, take the place of their crew, and enter the station as scheduled deliverers. Kim studied the plan carefully. Once inside, how do we locate Mordain and his records? Naya pointed to a section of the station blueprint. Mordain operates from the executive level. High security, limited access. But there is a maintenance shaft that runs directly beneath his office. I can get through that shaft, Davis volunteered. I am small enough and I have experience with infiltration systems. Too risky for one person, Ben decided. Davis, you will handle the technical aspects of accessing Mordain's computer systems. Vera, you will provide backup and security. Your combat skills give us the best chance if something goes wrong. Vera looked surprised. You trust me to watch your crew members back during such a dangerous mission? I trust your honor and your skills, Ben replied simply. Davis will be depending on you to keep him safe. The straightforward confidence in Ben's voice seemed to affect Vera deeply. Among Zephyrians, trust was earned through long association and proven loyalty. For a human to place such faith in her after only knowing her for days was remarkable. I will not let him come to harm, she promised solemnly. Over the next week, they refined their plan and practiced their roles. Ben was amazed at how quickly his crew adapted to working with the Zephyrian princesses. Human flexibility and curiosity seemed to mesh well with Zephyrian precision and analytical thinking. The princesses were equally impressed with human creativity. When Kim suggested using harmless smoke grenades to create confusion during their escape, Naya called it brilliant simplicity. When Parker figured out how to override Zephyrian security protocols using human engineering principles, Vera declared it impossible but effective. Your people approach problems very differently than ours, Naya observed during one planning session. Zephyrians analyze every detail before acting. Humans seem to find solutions while moving forward. Both approaches have value, Ben replied. Maybe combining them will give us an advantage that neither species would have alone. On the day of the mission, Ben felt confident in their preparation but nervous about the risks. As they approached the supply ship they planned to intercept, he gathered his team for final instructions. Remember, once we are on that station, we are completely on our own, he told them. No backup, no support, no extraction unless we provide it ourselves. Understood, sir, his crew responded in unison. Vera stepped forward. Commander, before we begin, I must say something. When we first came aboard your ship, I believed humans were inferior beings who could not understand honor or courage. I was wrong. Completely wrong, Naya added. What you are doing for us goes beyond duty or politics. You are risking everything simply because it is right. Ben felt embarrassed by the praise. We are all in this together now. Let's make sure we all come back safely. The interception of the supply ship went perfectly. Ben's crew efficiently disabled the ship's communications and secured the crew without injury. Within an hour, they were approaching Station Blackwater disguised as routine deliverers. Supply vessel Merchant's Dream requesting docking permission, Kim transmitted to station control. Permission granted. Proceed to Docking Bay 7, came the response. As they entered the station, Ben felt the weight of responsibility for his crew and their mission. Everything they had planned was about to be tested against reality. The station's interior was exactly as their intelligence had indicated. Dimly lit corridors, heavy security presence, and an atmosphere of barely controlled lawlessness. Ben and his team moved through the cargo areas with practiced calm, their uniforms and documentation allowing them to blend in with legitimate workers. Davis and Vera separated from the group to begin their infiltration of the executive level. Ben watched them disappear into a maintenance corridor and wished them luck silently. 20 minutes later, Davis's voice came through their communicators. We are in position beneath Mordane's office. Beginning system access now. Ben continued overseeing the fake supply delivery while monitoring Davis's progress. Everything was proceeding smoothly until Kim grabbed his arm urgently. Sir, we have a problem. Station security is conducting random identity verification of all personnel. Ben's blood ran cold. Their false identifications would not survive detailed scrutiny. How long before they reach us? Maybe 10 minutes, Kim replied tensely. Ben activated his communicator. Davis, how much time do you need? At least 15 minutes to crack Mordane's security and download his files, Davis responded. We don't have 15 minutes, Ben said grimly. He looked around the cargo bay, searching for options. New plan. Kim, create a distraction that will draw security away from this area. What kind of distraction? Kim asked. Ben smiled grimly. The kind humans are famous for. Improvised chaos. Within minutes, Kim had triggered a minor explosion in an empty storage compartment 3 levels away. Emergency alarms began blaring throughout the station. Security teams rushed toward the apparent emergency, leaving their posts undermanned. "Davis, you should have clear access now," Ben reported. "Copy that. Vera says to tell you that your species has a talent for creative problem solving." Ben allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before focusing on their escape route. The explosion would buy them time, but it would also put the entire station on high alert once security realized it was a diversion. "Got it," Davis announced 15 minutes later. "All of Mordane's transaction records downloaded. We have proof of payments from Prince Drac and detailed plans for the princess kidnapping." "Excellent. Begin extraction now," Ben ordered. But as Davis and Vera emerged from the maintenance areas, station security was already organizing search teams. Their window for easy escape had closed. "Commander," Vera's voice came through the communicator with strain. "We are trapped on executive level. Too many guards between us and the docking bay." Ben made a decision that would change everything. "All personnel, Emergency Protocol 7. We are leaving now, regardless of consequences." He turned to his remaining crew members. "Get to the ship and prepare for immediate departure. I am going to get Davis and Vera." "Sir, that is suicide," Chief Parker protested. "The whole level will be crawling with security." "Maybe," Ben agreed. "But we do not abandon our people. Ever." As Ben fought his way through increasingly hostile station security to reach his stranded team members, he demonstrated the quality that made humans both dangerous and valuable as allies. When faced with impossible choices, humans often chose the impossible option. The rescue mission succeeded, but at a cost. Ben's ship sustained heavy damage during their escape, and they had revealed their identity to station security. Their mission was complete, but now they were fugitives with powerful enemies and nowhere safe to hide. As they limped away from Station Blackwater with proof of Prince Drac's crimes, Princess Vera looked at Ben with something approaching awe. "You risked your ship and crew to save 2 people, she said quietly. "That is what you do for family," Ben replied simply. "Family? Anyone willing to fight beside you becomes family," Ben explained. "That is the human way." Vera exchanged glances with her sister. They were beginning to understand why humans had gained such a fearsome reputation throughout the galaxy. It was not just their willingness to fight, but their refusal to abandon anyone who fought alongside them. The evidence they had gathered would expose Prince Drac's treachery, but presenting it safely would require one final desperate gambit. And Ben already had an idea that was typically human in its audacity and apparent impossibility. 2 weeks after their escape from Station Blackwater, Ben's damaged ship approached the edges of Zephyrian space. The evidence they had gathered was solid, but getting it to the right people would require entering the heart of enemy territory during the most dangerous time possible. "The Festival of Succession begins tomorrow," Princess Naya explained as they studied star charts of their homeworld. "Every major leader and military commander will gather in the capital city for the ceremony." Princess Vera pointed to orbital defense positions around their planet. "Uncle Drac has tripled security since we escaped. He knows we might try to return with proof of his crimes." Ben examined the defensive formations with a tactical eye. "Those positions are designed to stop large fleets, not a single damaged ship. If we approach from the asteroid field, we might slip through undetected." Chief Parker looked skeptical. "Even if we reach the planet's surface, how do we get close to the ceremony? Security will be massive." "We do not sneak in," Ben said, surprising everyone. "We walk through the front door." Lieutenant Kim frowned. "Sir, that sounds like suicide." Ben activated a display showing the festival's traditional structure. During the Festival of Succession, any citizen has the right to address the planetary assembly with matters of imperial importance. It is an ancient law that even Uncle Drac cannot ignore without losing all credibility. "But the moment we appear publicly, his guards will try to arrest or kill us," Vera pointed out. Not if we invoke the law of sacred testimony, Naya said suddenly, understanding Ben's plan. If we formally request to present evidence of treason before the assembly, tradition requires a hearing before any action can be taken. How long would such a hearing last? Ben asked. At least 1 full day, Vera replied. Enough time to present our evidence and let the people decide what they believe. Navigator Davis studied the festival schedule carefully. There is another problem. Even if we get a hearing, Uncle Drac controls most of the military. He could simply ignore any decision that goes against him. Ben nodded grimly. That is where the real challenge begins. We need to make sure the people understand what kind of leader he really is. The journey to their homeworld took 3 days. Ben used the time to learn more about Zephyrian culture and law. He was particularly interested in their concepts of personal honor and leadership responsibility. Among our people, a leader who refuses a direct challenge to single combat is considered unfit to rule, Vera explained. It is an old tradition, but still deeply respected. Single combat? Ben asked with interest. A formal duel to settle matters of honor, Naya clarified. The challenged person chooses weapons and conditions, but they cannot refuse without losing all standing in society. An idea began forming in Ben's mind. It was dangerous and probably foolish, but it might be their only chance to expose Uncle Drac completely. They reached Zephyrian space during the festival's opening ceremonies. Ben's ship slipped through the asteroid field exactly as planned, avoiding detection until they were already entering the planet's atmosphere. Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted airspace, came an urgent transmission from planetary defense. Identify yourself immediately or be fired upon. Ben activated the communication system personally. This is Commander Ben Torres of the human vessel, Starwing. I carry Princess Vera and Princess Naya, rightful heirs to the Zephyrian throne. We request immediate audience with the Planetary Assembly under the law of sacred testimony. Silence filled the communication channel for nearly a minute. When the response came, it was from a different voice, older and more authoritative. This is General Kane, Assembly Security Commander. If you truly carry the lost princesses, you will submit to immediate inspection and verification. Agreed, Ben replied. We will land at the coordinates you provide. Within an hour, they were surrounded by Zephyrian military personnel. General Kane, a gray-haired veteran with numerous battle scars, approached their ship personally. His expression was unreadable as Vera and Naya emerged from the vessel. My princesses, he said formally, dropping to one knee. We mourned your loss these many months. General Kane, Vera replied with equal formality. We live, but we bring grave news about the circumstances of our disappearance. Prince Drac claimed you were killed by pirates, General Kane said carefully. Prince Drac arranged our capture and planned our murder, Naya stated clearly. We have proof of his crimes and request the right to present this evidence before the full assembly. General Kane's expression darkened. These are serious accusations, Princess. The law of sacred testimony does apply, but Prince Drac will not welcome your return. We understand the risks, Vera said firmly. Ben stepped forward. General, I am Commander Torres. I have served as protector to the princesses and witnessed their evidence firsthand. I formally request permission to accompany them as advisor during the hearing. General Kane studied Ben with curious eyes. A human advisor in Zephyrian imperial proceedings? Most unusual. These are unusual circumstances, Ben replied simply. The general nodded slowly. Very well. The assembly will convene in 2 hours. You will have your hearing, Commander Torres. The great assembly hall was packed with thousands of Zephyrian citizens and officials. Prince Drac sat in the regent's chair, his face showing shock and anger when Vera and Naya entered the hall. He had clearly believed them dead. My beloved nieces, he called out with false warmth. We rejoice to hear of your miraculous survival. These months have been filled with worry and mourning. Uncle Drac, Vera replied coldly. We have much to discuss about our miraculous survival. The assembly speaker, an elderly female with silver markings denoting high judicial rank, called for order. Princess Vera and Princess Naya have invoked the law of sacred testimony. They claim to possess evidence of treason against the imperial crown. Prince Drac, as regent, do you consent to hear this evidence? Drac could not refuse without appearing guilty. Of course. Let my nieces speak freely. For the next 4 hours, Vera and Naya methodically presented their evidence. They played recordings from Rex Mordaine's files showing payment transfers from Drac's personal accounts to the slaver organization. They presented communication logs proving Drac had provided detailed information about the princess's travel plans and security arrangements. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. Murmurs of shock and anger rippled through the assembled crowd as the scope of Drac's betrayal became clear. When the presentation ended, Prince Drac rose from his chair. His false warmth had disappeared, replaced by cold calculation. Impressive accusations, he said dismissively. But easily fabricated by enemies of the Empire. These so-called recordings could be created by any competent technician. The Assembly Council will verify all evidence, the speaker announced. Independent analysis will determine authenticity. There is no time for lengthy investigations, Drac declared. Imperial security requires immediate action. He signaled to his guards positioned throughout the hall. I hereby declare Princess Vera and Princess Naya to be imposters working with alien enemies to destabilize our government. Armed soldiers began moving toward the speaking platform. General Kane and his loyal troops moved to block them, but they were outnumbered. Drac had spent months placing his supporters in key positions. This is treason against the rightful heirs, General Kane shouted, but Drac's forces continued advancing. Ben stepped forward into the center of the hall. Prince Drac, he called out in a voice that carried clearly through the massive chamber. I challenge you to single combat under ancient Zephyrian law. The entire hall fell silent. Even Drac's advancing guards stopped in confusion. You dare? Drac snarled. A human alien challenges a prince of the imperial blood? I challenge a traitor and murderer, Ben replied calmly. You arranged the kidnapping of your own nieces. You planned their deaths. You have betrayed every principle of Zephyrian honor. This is absurd, Drac said, but his voice carried less confidence. I do not have to accept challenges from lesser species. Ben smiled grimly. Then you refuse single combat when accused of treason? Before the entire planetary assembly and all the citizens of your empire? The trap was perfect. By Zephyrian cultural standards, refusing a formal challenge when accused of serious crimes was an admission of guilt and cowardice. Drac's support would evaporate instantly if he backed down. Fine, Drac growled. I accept your pathetic challenge. I choose blade combat, traditional rules. Ben nodded. Acceptable. As the combat arena was prepared, Vera grabbed Ben's arm urgently. Commander, Drac is a master swordsman. He has trained in combat his entire life. I know, Ben replied calmly. Then why challenge him? Naya asked desperately. This is suicide. Ben looked at both princesses with steady eyes. Because sometimes the only way to win is to show people what real courage looks like. The combat began within minutes. Drac wielded a traditional Zephyrian blade with deadly skill, his movements graceful and precise. Ben used a standard military sword, relying on human martial arts training and tactical thinking. From the first exchange, it was clear that Drac was the superior fighter. His blade work was flawless, each strike designed to end the battle quickly. But Ben refused to fall. Every time Drac seemed ready to deliver a killing blow, Ben found a way to avoid it, counterattack, or simply endure. The crowd watched in amazement as the human warrior absorbed punishment that should have defeated him but continued fighting. Ben was cut and bleeding from multiple wounds, but his determination never wavered. Why do you not fall? Drac demanded during a brief pause in their fighting. Because innocent people are counting on me, Ben replied simply, raising his sword again. The battle continued for another 20 minutes. Ben's strategy became clear to the watching crowd. He was not trying to defeat Drac through superior skill. Instead, he was demonstrating that some principles were worth any sacrifice. With each wound Ben endured without surrendering, more voices in the crowd began speaking in his favor. When Drac's blade cut deeply into Ben's sword arm and he switched hands without hesitation, the crowd's murmur became a roar of approval. "He fights with the heart of a true Zephyrian warrior," someone shouted. "Look how he protects the princesses," called another voice. "A real leader would not need to fight a wounded alien to prove his worth," came a third comment. Drac realized his support was crumbling. In desperation, he attempted an illegal strike aimed at Ben's back. General Kane and several other military leaders immediately declared him dishonored. "Enough," General Kane commanded, stepping into the arena. "Prince Drac, your conduct violates every principle of honorable combat. The challenge is ended." Drac's remaining guards laid down their weapons rather than support a leader who had shown such cowardice. The crowd's voice became unanimous in condemning him. "The evidence stands verified by combat," the assembly speaker announced. "Prince Drac is guilty of treason. Princess Vera and Princess Naya are restored to their rightful positions as heirs to the imperial throne." As medical personnel treated Ben's wounds, Princess Vera knelt beside him. "Commander, why did you risk so much for us?" Ben managed a weak smile. "Someone had to show your people what humans believe about doing what is right." "And what do humans believe?" Princess Naya asked. "That some things are worth any price," Ben replied. "Justice. Honor. Protecting innocent people. Those values do not change based on how difficult the situation becomes." 3 months later, Ben stood in the same assembly hall for a very different ceremony. Princess Vera had been crowned Empress of the Zephyrian Empire, with Princess Naya as her designated successor and chief advisor. "Commander Ben Torres," Empress Vera announced formally. "You have shown our people that humans possess the rarest treasure in the galaxy. The courage to do what is right even when victory seems impossible." She gestured to the assembled delegates. "The Zephyrian Empire formally declares humanity our first and most valued ally. Any human who needs sanctuary, aid, or protection will find it among our people." Ben bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, the honor is ours." Later, as Ben prepared to return to human space, Princess Naya found him on his ship. "Commander, our people will never forget what you did for us." "I hope they remember what we learned together," Ben replied. "That different species can accomplish amazing things when they work toward the same goals." "They will remember," Naya promised. "And when other humans need allies among the stars, they will find them among the Zephyrians." As Ben's ship departed for human space, he reflected on the unexpected turn his simple protection mission had taken. Sometimes doing the right thing led to consequences no one could predict. In this case, it had gained humanity their first major alien ally and proven that courage transcended species boundaries. The stars ahead looked brighter somehow, filled with new possibilities for cooperation and friendship among the galaxy's inhabitants.